So today I am going to explain to you how you can get through a push workout, how to structure it, things to look out for, things not to do, and I'm just going to give you a couple of advices of how I think you should follow it. Now, push workout of course consists of your chest, triceps and shoulders. So all the muscle groups that you push with essentially. I mean, I'm sure you already knew this. And if you're watching this video, potentially your workout routine is the push-pull legs routine. In that case, this video is going to be actually perfect for you. So what I'm going to do is just essentially give you the exercises that you need to do, how you need to do them in terms of the rep ranges, whether you should do a drop set or not, kind of what to look out for, how to be more flexible, and just basic things like this. So in terms of the exercises, you need to make sure that you are doing your compound exercises first. This is the only big rule about it, because you can be pretty flexible with your push workouts. But in order to maximize your gains, it is actually advisable to do your bench presses at the beginning. Bench press is of course a compound movement, which means that you are training multiple muscle groups. In this case, you are doing your chest, which is the main one, triceps and shoulders. And of course, if you start with other exercises, let's say flies or tricep push downs or something else, you're going to be fatigued when it comes to this exercise and you won't be able to lift as much. The reason why it's bad, because bench press is what you need the most strength for, because that's what involves most of your muscle groups. As I said, all of the three. Because of this, the main rule is to start with the bench press or incline bench press, any of the two, but the point is to start with these compound exercises. Apart from this, there are many different ways of being flexible, but you need to start with this exercise. So in terms of rep ranges or how you should structure it, it's very simple. So here's how I do it, for example. And I think it's, this is pretty self-explanatory. I'm sure you're already doing this, but when you're warming up with the bench press, I normally start with the bar. Then I do another set with 50 kilos, then another set with 70, and then I start my working set. So essentially you're working your way up slowly to the point where you feel ready, you're warmed up. And once you're warmed up, you do your working sets. I normally do about 4 sets. It really depends how I'm feeling, but I normally do 4 sets, sometimes a drop set at the end, but normally, you do not need to do more than 4. Now, in terms of rep ranges, of course, it's recommended for hypertrophy to do between 8 and 12. However, I feel like a lot of people get caught up in this. I mean, sometimes you get 6 or 7, or sometimes you get 14, 15. It's not the end of the world. You're still going to make a lot of gains. Of course, aim between 8 to 12, but if you don't get this, then it's not the end of the world. For example, what I often do, let's say my first working set is 90 kilos. Sometimes I get between 7, maybe 6, 8 reps. It changes, Not always between 8 to 12, or sometimes I go down a little bit, I do 70 kilos and I get more than 15. You can be pretty flexible with this. You don't have to, get 8 to 12. There are many different ways of making gains. And as long as you're pushing yourself and you're going to failure, you are going to be fine. This is actually the most important thing, is to go to failure as much as you possibly can. Let's say you do 4 sets. The first set, in my case, for example, I do 8 reps of 90 kilos, and that 8 just about goes up, so I push myself to failure. Then you do the same again. Of course, you're going to be a little bit fatigued, so you have to maybe drop the weight or kind of going to be like getting less reps. I normally do 90 kilos, then I do 85, and from 85 I get maybe like 7, 8 again. It kind of changes, it depends how you really feel. The weight is not really important, it's more just the time under tension. So getting between 8 to 12 reps is what is the most optimal time under tension for when it comes to lifting. But as I said again, the most important thing is to actually push yourself hard. After regular bench press, I always go into incline. Now, incline you can do with dumbbells and, barbell bench press. It is actually recommended to do with dumbbells, more people say, but I just kind of use whatever's free. I mean, if the barbell bench press, the incline barbell bench press is free in my gym, I just go there. But if the dumbbells are free, then I go to the dumbbells. It kind of changes, but I mix it up a little bit. Again, it's the same principle really. All you need to do is do about 4 sets. Of course, you don't have to warm up for this because you already warmed up from the regular bench press. You do about 4 sets and you go to failure. In my case, I drop down to either 60 or 70 kilos, get 70 kilos, perhaps get for 8, 9 reps. And of course, you have to make sure your last rep is one of those that just about goes up, so you actually push yourself to failure. And perhaps if you're feeling like it, you can do a drop set on your 4th set again. So far it's pretty simple. It's just doing 4 sets, pushing yourself hard, and kind of trying to improve every session. This is another thing actually, aiming for progressive overload. A progressive overload essentially is just trying to improve your lifts every session, and progressive overload is especially relevant when it comes to bench press or incline bench press. These are actually the exercises where you're able to improve the easiest because more of your muscle groups are involved. So of course with bench press you have your chest, your triceps and your shoulders, and because more of your muscle groups are working, you're able to increase this left a little bit easier than perhaps bicep curls, because bicep curls is just biceps, it's just one muscle group. So what you need to be doing, I mean, in my case, I kind of remember my workouts, and I remember how much I benched the session before. This is something that, I feel like it depends on the person. If you're really into the gym, perhaps you are like this as well. But if you don't really remember, then it's really good to write it down. You can do the old school way, you can write in a notepad, or you can actually use these apps, because these days there's quite a lot of apps where you can monitor your workouts. And what you need to do is every time you have a bench press session, a push session, you go into bench press and you look at your previous lifts and you try and kind of outdo that and try and improve it as much as you possibly can. Of course, it's not always going to be possible, but if you're aiming to improve, then you are going to be on the right track. So now that you have done your bench press and your incline bench press, then now you can move to other exercises. It's also very important to do isolation exercises. So isolation exercises are normally the exercises that involve like chest flies. There are many forms of it, of course. You can do, dumbbell chest flies on the bench. You can use the machine. The machine is pretty good. Or you can just do, the cables. There are many different ways of doing this. I mean, I normally do cables, but often, of course, the gym can be busy. And then you have to be flexible, you have to be, willing to do the machine sometimes. But a combination of what you enjoy and what's free in the gym is what you need to be aiming for, because it is very important to actually enjoy your exercises. If you don't enjoy your exercises, then you won't be able to stick to these things. And in the long term, you won't be able to build a habit. I mean, when you're working out and you don't enjoy it, it's way, way harder to stick to a workout plan. You have to make sure that the exercises that you're picking are something that you enjoy. It is the same thing with dumbbells and barbell bench press. I mean, if you enjoy dumbbells more, do dumbbells. I mean, it'll be easier to stick to. Why would you make your life incredibly difficult by doing something that you don't really enjoy? But once you have done your isolation exercises, this is when you move on to, I normally just move on to triceps. You can do dips. You can do actual dips, so you have the dip machine, which tends to be pretty good as well. This is something that, you can kind of adjust the weight and make sure that your form is pretty good. I mean, when it comes to dips, a lot of people's forms are not the best. This machine is easy to make sure that you are doing the right thing. And this trains your chest a little bit as well, lower chest. And it also trains your triceps. So this is when you start to kind of transition into triceps. And then after that, I normally do a little bit of, maybe tricep push downs, or I do some skull crushers. I mean, again, here you do about 4 sets, try and go heavy, try and go to failure as much as you possibly can. And eventually I normally end up with some lateral raises for shoulders. Because you have to train your shoulders a little bit as well. I mean, one unpopular opinion, I personally don't train, I don't do shoulder presses specifically, because you kind of already hit shoulders by doing bench press and incline bench press, especially incline bench press, because it's a different angle. But my point is, you're already hitting these, you're hitting shoulders quite a bit, so I don't really see the point of it, doing shoulder presses. But I could be wrong on this one, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know, maybe I should be doing them. I mean, my shoulders are not that developed, so that could be the reason. So perhaps this is something that I need to work on myself. But anyway, this is how I kind of structure my workouts. I recommend for you to be very, very, very flexible, and of course use a bit of common sense. You don't need to specifically follow this kind of order. Just make sure to do the compound exercises at the beginning, whether that is incline or flat bench press or both or just one. That's fine, but just start with that. And apart from that, you can be pretty flexible. I mean, of course, the gym can be very busy at times. And when it's very busy, it's way harder to do the exercise that you want to do. Sometimes you won't have the machine free that you want to use. And because of that, of course, you have to prioritize different things. Maybe if you're about to do chest flies, it's being used, then feel free to do the triceps first. It's not going to hinder your gains. You're still going to be making gains. It's not going to kind of mess up your progress. So don't worry about that. Be very flexible. Aim between 8 to 12 reps and lift heavy and try and get stronger each session. This is really the key. It's really, really simple actually. I hope you found it useful. Also, I feel like most of these things you already would have known, but hopefully I gave you a couple of tips that you'll be able to utilize with your workouts, with your push workouts. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to keep this a little bit shorter. I am going to shut up now. So if you enjoy content with self-improvement, so I do content with sports like boxing and football, going to the gym, working out, traveling for self-improvement, and just like working on yourself, general self-improvement like becoming more charismatic and stuff like that, then consider subscribing to the YouTube channel, and I will catch you in the next video, which will come out actually next week.